Now let's move on and stick with the home market, where Nigeria's central bank has cancelled its two-day interest rate setting meeting due to start today. The monetary policy meeting for September was also cancelled by the financial regulator. There had been no rate setting meeting held since the July edition, held under the interim central bank governor, Folashadun Shonubi. Now let's bring in my guests on this. Kelvin Emmanuel, economist and CEO at Dairy Hills. Good evening, and we thank you for coming in via Abuja studios.
Thank you so much for having me. Good evening to you.
We appreciate your time. Now, how much do we know about why the central bank has decided once again to cancel its rate-setting meeting due to start today? Kelvin.
Well, it is very bad signaling, considering that since Cardozo was confirmed by the Senate, he has not spoken to the markets at the normal monetary policy committee meeting. I think it's a 293rd meeting that has been postponed twice. It's very, very bad signaling to the market. And also considering that there has been three interest rate and three inflation hikes. Core inflation headline is about 27.3%. Food inflation is 31.1%. And also considering that within the last 21 months, inflation has gone from 16.75% for headline to around 27.3%, and then interest rates has gone up 725 basis points, or 7.25% from 11.5 to currently 18.75%. And within the same period, commercial lending rates has actually increased from 18% to around 30% today. Because anytime there is a hike in interest rates, the banks are obligated to within 7 days communicate to their customers, and for existing loans, there's always pendency on the loan because the rates shift and because it's adjusted. So the markets are expecting him, but from a legal standpoint, he has an excuse. And the excuse he has is that sections 12, subsections 1 to 5 of the CBN Act of 2007 states that the Monetary Policy Committee is comprised of the CBN governor as a chairman of the bank, 4 deputy governors, which are currently constituted, is comprised of 2 members of the board of the central bank. And this is where it gets interesting, because a few months ago, the president of Nigeria dissolved boards, and that included the CBN. So as it currently stands, the CBN doesn't have a non-executive board that's appointed by the president, and that is the piece of the pie that actually provides a legal excuse for the CBN governor not to constitute the Monetary Policy Committee, because he has a reason to say it's not complete. The other members that constitute the MPC are 3 members appointed by the president at FEC level, cabinet level, and also 2 members appointed by the governor, which are usually the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Finance and the Accountant General of the Federation, which are currently constituted. So the one layer of that MPC structure that is currently not available are the 2 members of the board of the central bank, which are usually non-executive members, and which also brings up the question that has sprung up debate amongst economists, and policymakers in Nigeria on whether the CBN amendment should dilute the powers of the central bank and put more supervisory and oversight powers to the board, or whether the governor of the central bank should have the current concentration of powers it has, and considering the antecedents we've had with the leadership of the central bank over the last couple of years. So, it's not very good signaling to the market, but I'll tell you that even if he is not planning to raise interest rates to, try to see if he can, tighten monetary policy, because monetary policy at this point is not responding to, the inflation level in Nigeria is not responding to monetary policy hikes. At least you can come out to the market and provide forward guidance.
Well,
investors,
the outlook was that the central
stakeholders want to understand what is...
Yes, sorry, Kevin. The outlook was that the Central Bank of Nigeria would have to raise rates, considering inflation still very stubborn. But very quickly, bring me everyone up to speed on what was the concept of central bank monetary policy meetings and decisions in the first place. Why is it important for central bankers to have monetary policy committee meeting on their calendar? Why is it important?
Monetary policy committee meetings basically are like where... Because you see, the CBN has 5 basic mandates. Number 1, it has a mandate to maintain the external reserves. It has a mandate to maintain price stability. It has a mandate to, according to sections 2 of the CBN Act as a banker and advisor to the government. It has a mandate to issue currency, and it has a mandate to act as a lender of last resort to the banks. Now, on 2 of these 5 mandates, the CBN has done very well. Number one, act as a lender of last resort to the banks, because Nigerian banks have been insulated from the crisis we've seen with the global banking industry, especially the one you've had in the US, because most of the banks are obligated to actually keep 30% of their profits in a general reserve fund. And I'll say that in terms of capital adequacy for Tier 1 and Tier 2 banks at 15% for Tier 1, 10% for Tier 2, when you divide their total capital over their total risk-weighted assets, Nigeria is not doing poorly, badly. The only thing that you have to ensure is the fact that it has to recapitalize the banks like it was done in 2005 by Soludo, where he recapitalized banks from 89 to 25. I'm not saying they should reduce the number of banks. I'm just saying, like in M&A deals, you could see a recapitalization because of the exchange rate devaluation of the banks to increase their minimum capital requirements, reserve requirements with Central Bank of Nigeria. So now, number 2, they've done well in terms of the currency issuance. The 3 areas they've not done well is in terms of maintaining price stability, which is inflation that has been very, very stubborn. They've not done well in terms of managing the external reserves. They've not also done well in terms of advising the federal government.
Kelvin, my question, back to it very simply put, was how important, is it important for central bank to hold monetary policy meeting? Is it crucial? Is it important for the market, for the investment market? And that's what I'm trying to find out.
Monetary policy meeting is where you decide your monetary policy rate. It's also where you decide credit policy for the economy. And, as you can see, you not holding monetary policy meeting is a very, very bad signal to investors. And it doesn't provide them with any succor or any assurance, because businesses around Nigeria and foreign investors always need forward guidance on interest rates, on inflation, and on exchange rate to be able to make plans. You can see very well that today, as we speak, there is like a 38% premium, black market premium, which measures the difference between the real effective exchange rate or the official market and the black market. And businesses are just not sure. They don't know how to plan. They don't know where it's going. And you can see how that, wobbly in exchange rate, and how the fact that banks are unable to buy new forwards because they know it's not going to be paid for. The CBN is struggling with its reserves to make balance of payments, is affecting the ability of companies to plan for 2024 and 2025. And you can see that a few companies are shutting down in pharmaceutical sectors. JSK is going out of Nigeria, and that has led to the inflation in the prices of drugs, and it's affecting FMCGs also. So it's very critical and important that the central bank holds monetary policy meeting, regardless of what the realities are, because you have to provide guidance to the market. You have to tell them the realities, and you have to tell them how using MPRO and your credit policy, your credit committee, how you intend to fight inflation and provide them forward guidance for these companies.
Interesting. All right, thank you so much for your time and insight on key public policy issues such as these. Thank you so much, Kelvin, Emmanuel, economist and CEO at Dairy Hills. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. We appreciate that.